Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend. Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production. Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week, Marcus and his son Chris are joined by former Golden State Warriors GM Bob Myers.
There's still going to be a problem, right? You got one of the best 5 players in Giannis in the NBA on your team.
Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million active members. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do, pick more or less on a 2 to 6 player stat projection and watch the winnings roll in. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Prize Picks even offers injury insurance so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets hurt. For basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, Prize Picks will have your back and not count that as a loss. Prize Picks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions and special offers for the biggest moments in sports. Download the app today and use code WI for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code WI on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
You're listening to Wilde and Tauscht on 94.5 ESPN. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella at 855-PELLA-WI or visit online at PellaWI.com/radio.
I have to apologize. I have to apologize. I'm apologizing
I'm not
to
letting
you.
you do this. I'm not letting you do this.
Because you're
doing
let
this
me
fake
apologize
apology,
to you.
which is really designed to make me look bad.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
it is.
exasperated by what just happened.
My bad. I should have just agreed with Wilde.
Remember the Frank Caliendo skit when he was Mel Kiper with Todd McShay, and McShay says the guy's 6'2", 225, and Kiper's shaking his head? That's what just happened.
It's on me. I should have known. Like, of course, we as fans are looking at it saying, "Oh, we want Jordan to be treated fairly, but we don't want to overpay for him." I really was looking again, bringing it back to school board
referendum. Yeah, he should have gone with referendum
all
right
about
away.
The playground.
But here's the problem with that. He's not at a point in his career where it is as black and white as being able to do that. He had a great 9-game run, and I think it is a harbinger of him being a very good quarterback for the next decade. But I don't know that for sure, and so I'm not willing to commit to the level that you are. That was the discussion.
But you're willing to commit to 46.
Right, because it's still less than putting. He's going to ask for being the highest paid quarterback,
he should.
Isn't he?
Yeah, he should.
Right. I would recommend that him and his agent do that too.
Yep.
But what is he going to settle for? And what is the risk involved? And the reason why I brought it back to you, I know you weren't a quarterback, but I would, if I was an NFL player and you offered me the level of a guaranteed money that he could get on May 4th, I don't care if I'm leaving money on the table because it's generational wealth.
Understood. But this, again, just comes down to how much do you believe in Jordan Love? And it's concrete. It's black and white. And I know the world's not black and white. But these are your two choices. Which way would you go? And you just refused. You kind of answered it, but you didn't, which, again, that's why I apologized.
You just didn't like what you heard.
It's pretty good, and it's true. No, I just didn't like the fact that you hedged.
Can we Whoa Nelly this conversation?
Whoa Nelly!
If the topic is good, the guys discuss.
Just the other morning I had breakfast at Tracy Rock.
I didn't know he was actually going to play that there.
He said, Mama,
Neither did he.
I got to stay hungry for the Crimson Tide.
But if it's not, the show must go on. It's time for
Whoa Nelly on
I'm
Wilde
really
and
interested to
Tausct.
hear this Craig Karmazin piece that you must. I'm reading the show sheet as we look at it.
Oh, there's a change.
Yeah. What is Tausch's reaction
reading the
to
show
Jason
sheet
Thomas?
at
I would have loved to have been in.
11:49.
That's a conversation I would have loved to have had. That's a campaign I would have loved to have run.
On the show sheet, Nina and Arrowhead played a 4-overtime semifinal at the state tournament on Friday night.
Announcer cam? Who was on announcer cam?
Hunter Vaughn and Vel Phillips Memorial head coach Steve Collins on the
Okay.
call of that one.
Ooh.
That was a great call by those guys. 4 overtimes. If you don't have a team in the game, so you don't have a rooting interest, but you are witnessing the game, at what point in overtimes do you rather root for the game to be over than for the game to continue? Like at what point? Because 4 overtimes, I was watching at home. 2 overtimes was fun. 3 overtimes tied the record. By the time we got to a 4th overtime, felt like we were going too long.
Too much?
Yeah. 3 felt like the number for me.
What do you want to have happen?
That's I'm saying. If you're an independent observer, you're not a fan of Nina or Arrowhead.
Sure.
You are just watching the game.
Who won?
Arrowhead won the game.
But
And
then
then
Arrowhead
lost
got
to Marquette.
smoked.
And lost the state championship.
So that means Rob's, Domofsky's, DePere, whatever, would have been the champions because they beat Marquette
DePere
by
likely
like
would
100.
have taken care of business, but they didn't.
No, I want it to go forever. Like I want to be entertained. So keep going. So I want something dramatic to happen for someone to close up shop. I don't want it to be like a 6-point win. You're going to go to overtime. I want a buzzer beater. I want something. They should go 5-minute, 4-minute, 3-minute, 2-minute, and then go down to 1 minute and just continue to stagger it until
A
somebody
1-minute
wins.
overtime.
Yeah.
Fixing things I didn't even know needed fixing. That's actually not a
I
bad
also
idea.
have something I want to start tomorrow's show with. If you get to overtime, you should get another foul. Like Tyler Wall should have been able to come back in. Crowell. There's more time. You should get more fouls. Why are we not getting more fouls? Somebody tell me why that happens. There's more time on the clock. The game is allotted. The foul rule is for 48 minutes in the NBA. Not for 51, not for breakfast, not for 52.
Not tomorrow, not after breakfast, now.
That's it for Wonelli.
He fouled out.
So are you
They're
guys on
out.
board? Are you guys on board with no? He fouled out in a regulation game, not in overtime.
But if you foul out in
want-
regulation, why should you get to play the extra time?
Because you're playing extra time. It was not allotted for.
You're out over.
Give everybody another
Once
chance.
you're out, you're out.
No.
I think you should get one if you're eligible in overtime. But if you foul out late in the second half, you're out. It doesn't matter that
Listen,
you're playing more.
I'm open to making it better. If that's how you want to do it, so then you're going to sit guys with a minute just in case? Then they get 2 fouls in overtime?
Part of the strategy, yeah.
I'm on board with that. I want more fouls given when overtime is in play.
Well, of
I
course
don't
you want guys to
6
play
Wisconsin-
more.
Literally, 7 guys fouled out in the game. They're sitting there playing. If Guard's kid was eligible, he'd have had a play on Saturday.
That's it for Wonelli. We'll wrap things up next.
On air, online, and on demand. Get all your favorite ESPN Wisconsin content anywhere you get your podcast for free. The new Wisconsin On Demand. It's free, it's everywhere, and it's for you. The best source for every piece of NFL news you need to know.
I cannot imagine that there's any way that he missed the game because he's unhappy that the game was on turf. I think that's preposterous to me.
ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter is on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy every Wednesday morning at 7:30.
I thought they looked great. I got to be honest, I think that's what I kind of expected from the Packers.
Presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Also sponsored by Construction Business Group and Island Resort and Casino. Show the world what your business is made of with 3 Tree Marketing.
So at 3 Tree, we're storytellers through merchandise. Every brand we work with has a unique story, and we're there to tell it using merchandise, display, appreciation, and gifting.
President Kevin Van Rossum knows that's important.
There's promo peddlers again, or tchotchke vendors, or whatever cliche people want to use. But we work with our client partners to become an extension of their team. We provide ideas, unique offerings that fit budget, timing, as well as messaging.
Check out why 3 Tree is the partner you need. 3treemarketing.com.
The madness is back, and so is your chance at proving your hoops knowledge. It's the ESPN Wisconsin Bracket Challenge, presented by Cousin Subs. Fill out a bracket, earn the most points at the end of the tourney, and get a $1,000 gift card to Cousin Subs. Start getting your scouting reports done now before the bracket is set, and get ready to fill one out on the ESPN Tournament Challenge app or on ESPN.com. It's the ESPN Wisconsin Bracket Challenge, presented by Cousin Subs. Visit ESPNWisconsinContests.com for full rules and details.
We've told you about Moses Hadara,
the diamond cutter who created the Kessler 81.
The magical diamond that vibrates with light.
Kessler's works with crazy diamond cutters.
Geniuses who create wonderful, spectacular,
crazy diamond shapes.
The one thing these crazy genius diamonds all have in common
is that they explode with light.
The Kessler Emerald Cut diamond sends out rippling waves of light, like water lapping onto a beach.
The Kessler Square Radiant Diamond glows like the sun on the horizon.
Sometimes sunrise,
sometimes sunset.
Come to Kessler's.
Come to Kessler's.
Come to Kessler's.
Ask to see the rippling waves of light, like water on the beach.
Ask to see the glow that looks like sunrise and sunset.
Ask to see the Kessler Crazy Genius Diamonds.
See them for yourself.
See them for yourself.
See them for yourself.
To find the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's. Flavor is our family's business.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Toscher here for my friends at Kohler Services. If you need a bath or shower remodel, turn to Kohler Services. Family owned for 150 years. Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. This month only, get $1,000 off your Luckstone shower and pay nothing until 2025. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast, professional installation always included. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
This is Wilde and Tauscht on 94.5 ESPN. Sponsored by American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
We'll put our school referendum on the ballot tomorrow because I think this merits more conversation than the phony apology.
There's one thing that we did see, and I agree with this tweeter or texter to Jason.
Mark on Twitter. Hey, Jason, I think the Packers should use the same qualifying offer they did with A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Get him a lot for a really good price. That's smart by Mark. Jason, you can get on board with that, right?
We'll do it again tomorrow. I think I found a way to get Griffey and Bonds and not have to give up that much.
You don't want to roll the dice on Jordan Love, am I right?
Not after the show, not before 9 a.m. tomorrow. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Have a great day. Take care. Be good.
Miss any of today's episode of Wilde and Tauscht, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin? Commercial-free full show podcasts are available free on Wisconsin On Demand.
Make it a real Mad March with a playoff payout at Potawatomi. Every week you could score your share of $100,000 in cash and free play. Play this March for drawing entries. Win each Thursday. Plus, the prizes refresh every week for even more winners. The playoff payout at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. It's anyone's game. For more details, visit paysbig.com/payout. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service.
It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey.
Riding with you every mile since 1977.
The Boucher Group has exciting news to share with you.
We've expanded to better serve our community.
Introducing Nissan Lake Country, the newest addition to our family.
Step into our showroom and discover our exceptional selection of brand new Nissans.
We're also stocked with the best pre-owned options in the market.
And as we expand, we're not just growing our inventory, we're also growing our team.
So join a team that values your skills and celebrates your success.
Visit us online or in-store today and view our current job listings at bouchercareers.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Injuries happen, but you don't have to play in pain or stay on the sidelines. Whether it's your kids dealing with a sports injury, college athletes, or the rest of us weekend warriors, the experts at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin will quickly diagnose your problem, lay out a treatment plan that works for you, and get you back in the game. They fixed my knee. My mother-in-law is back on the dance floor with a new hip. These are the experts you can trust. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman from KBN. Tune into Kyle, Breast, and Nortman from 2 to 5 every day. WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
The Cowboys converted a roster bonus for quarterback Dak Prescott, reduces his cap number to $55 million, adds 2 extra void years for salary cap purposes, also creates $4 million in cap space. It does not keep the sides from further negotiating a long-term extension.
From the ESPN studios at Pier 17 in the Seaport District of New York City, this is Greeny with Mike Greenberg on ESPN Radio. You can also listen and watch the show on the ESPN app.
Yes! So crazy right now. Okay, welcome to the show. It is Greeny here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Along with Hembo, Evan Cohen in for Greeny today. Normally you hear me on Sportsmanlike with Chris Canty and Michelle Smallman, 6A to 10A Eastern here on ESPN Radio. What a day we have. You think about this past weekend, Hembo, you're looking at the NCAA tournament selection shows in both men's and women's that were amazing in terms of all the storylines we have there, as well as, oh, by the way, maybe the best NFL offseason weekend we've had. Hello, how are you?
This is an NFL offseason that keeps on giving. From the moment that legal tampering began till right this second, it seems like every time I look down on my phone, there's something new and there is something incredible. The musical chairs that is being played right now, especially at the quarterback position, which is so incredibly rare for the NFL offseason, is obviously super entertaining. Oh, by the way, the best event of the whole year starts on Thursday. I got my bracket in front of me. It's filled out, and I cannot wait to talk about it.
Wait a minute. Of course, you and I have to bicker about something 2 minutes in. The best event of the whole year?
Oh, come on.
I grew up, the NCAA tournament that Thursday was the best event of the year. Sports have become so unbelievable in terms of event-based days that while that is still an A+, we're talking about an A+ versus A++ if there's such a thing. We're not talking about an A- or an A. We are literally saying that when you guys fill out the tournament brackets, and you can do so with the ESPN Tournament Challenge app, up to 25 on the men's and women's side, create the groups, be a part of it, men's and women's. You can play against us. I see Chris Carlin already talking junk to me, which is great. Why are you rolling your eyes?
Well, because that's what he does.
Oh, okay. The app also makes it easy to share your champion and as well as your Final Four picks across all social channels. So download the Tournament Challenge app. That all said, you're taking Thursday over the NFL Draft Day?
I'm taking the opening Thursday of March Madness over the NFL Draft because the NFL Draft, while as entertaining as it is, to me, it's more about the hype machine, the weeks and months leading up to the draft. The draft itself often leaves a little bit to be desired for me. I've never gone to bed on a Thursday night after watching basketball for 12 hours and not feel like I've eaten my full. Is that fair? Is that unfair?
Eaten my full.
Eaten my fill.
You can't just say it like a normal person and say like I'm full, I'm filled up, I'm eating my fill is what you just said.
I prefer 19th, 18th, 17th century vernacular. Like in Greeny and I did our in book number 2. One of the lists that I'm looking at is
book number.
Well, I mean, it's book number 2. I'm just going to say it like it is. I mean, we have a list, top 10 days on the annual sporting calendar. Both the opening Thursday of March Madness and the NFL Draft are inside the top 5. I'm sure it's not at all a surprise for you to hear me say that. Where does the Super Bowl fall for you in best days on the sporting calendar?
It's certainly up there.
Better
but
than the draft?
Not
for you.
I mean, as a Pats fan for a long time, yes. Not current. I love the transactional stuff. Right, like back in the day, I used to love Selection Sunday as much as I loved the Thursday of the NCAA tournaments. Because when you had less teams and men's college basketball was more of a national sport than it has been, honestly, over the last however many years. I mean, if we're going to be real about it, right now is when we get into men's college basketball on the whole. Not everyone, but I mean, masses, right? Women's college basketball has done a much better job of keeping us engaged all season long, from Caitlin Clark to Angel Reese to Juju Watkins to South Carolina's undefeated season. Like, it's done a better job recently, and that's where the stars are. But back in my day, when we were talking about the stars in college basketball before guys were leaving early, and I'm not blaming them for doing so.
Lou Alcindor and those.
I'm not
Bill
that
Walton.
Old. Jeez. Wow.
Jerry Lucas. John Havlicek.
I remember Miking in college. Be fair. But it was just a lot different than it is now, because when you expand it and there's 68 teams and you don't know which team is in what conference anymore, it's different.
I understand the point you're making. I guess my question, though, is if we're to eliminate every other day of the year, and you're not talking about the hype, you're not talking about the seasons, anything else, you would rather watch the NFL draft. You would rather watch the NFL draft than watch basketball the opening Thursday of the tournament.
Yeah, and basketball as a sport is my favorite sport.
Huh. So you're saying that the tournament...
I think most people would actually agree with me.
Okay, so the tournament for you has not been diminished as much as other things like the NFL draft has become amplified over the years.
Ironically, I think the NFL draft actually has been diminished, and it's still number one, because I used to go as a kid, and there's video of me somewhere when Tyrone Wheatley was drafted by the Giants, and I was like 12 or 13 years old, on camera on ESPN giving a fist bump to that. That it's no joke. It's somewhere on the internet. But
it's in black and white, probably.
When it was the Saturday, starting at 10 in the morning or whatever it was, till 10 at night, all 3 rounds on that Saturday, that was the best.
So you were into the draft before it was cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So you've obviously been doing this for a really long time. When did the draft become mainstream in your eyes? Like, when did it become such that...
I don't remember the exact year.
When, like,
when they decided to make it into a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Because that's the amazing thing. I think you're right. You could go into a sports bar right now, and the average person could tell you the third best offensive lineman that's draft eligible before they could name a player on NC State.
Yep. By the way, I should also show you something. I'm showing Hembo something. I want you to describe it to our radio audience here. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm looking at is...
this is as it goes, I do this.
The carcass of a 110-year-old man leafing through a legal pad in which he has written out the NCAA tournament bracket by region with a pen, and he's done so vertically instead of just asking someone that he works with to print him a copy. And so that's what I'm looking at right now.
I do that too.
Okay, so what's the purpose of you writing them down?
Because I always write it as it goes.
What do you mean as it goes?
Like, meaning you're watching on the broadcast, and I draw the brackets physically with no teams in them on 4 different pages prior to the arrival of the teams, and then I fill in the teams.
Just looking at that. Looking at that makes me cringe.
That's how I feel about
Everything about that.
Everything about this.
That's how my wife feels as well. She has a very bad taste in men.
All right, so yes, the brackets are obviously out, but we talk about the NFL and what happened this weekend, and the Pittsburgh Steelers go from a quarterback room that had Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky, and their starter, Kenny Pickett, to basically, within a week, they lowered the cost of the position and increased the talent within the position by bringing in Russell Wilson for $1.2 million and trading a 6th-round pick for Justin Fields. I love this. It does not mean it's going to work out perfectly this year. It doesn't even mean it's going to work out perfectly next year. What it does is it gives you insane amounts of flexibility to try to improve this position while guaranteeing neither of these guys anything. If Russell Wilson doesn't work out, you can cut him. If Justin Fields doesn't work out, you don't have to pick up his 5th-year option. Although if it were me, I would offer him a contract today. I'd decline his 5th
fifth-year option and offer him the Jordan Love deal that the Packers gave him and give him somewhere between $10 and $12 million for next year, thinking I either have a really cheap starter or an at-average value backup, or a starter for someone else if Russell Wilson or a draft pick goes well, that they would be interested in him. In addition, it doesn't preclude me from drafting a quarterback this year because both guys get it, unlike their previous guy in Kenny Pickett. This gives them a better chance of winning now, a lower cost, and a higher upside long-term any way you look at it, except for the way that one Hembo looks at it.
I need you to explain to me how it gives them a better chance to win now.
Because they won 10 games last year with no quarterbacks, and now they have a guy in Russell Wilson that was better than their quarterback a year ago, and I project to be better than their quarterback this year. That would have been Kenny Pickett.
No, I mean, what the Steelers did was turn in one quarterback that nobody wanted for two quarterbacks that nobody wanted.
No, one quarterback that you have to stop with that with Russell Wilson. Just because you didn't want him doesn't mean that nobody wanted him. He had 3 different visits or set up 3 different visits, and we know the teams wanted him. Like, that was blatantly obvious. You could shake your head at that.
Teams were interested.
You don't like him. You don't think he's going to, not personally, I'm saying you don't like him as a starting quarterback this year for any team. And thus you have made up because you don't think he's good that no teams wanted him, yet there's evidence of the Giants and the Raiders wanting him.
Let me meet you halfway. I think that the Steelers paying Russell Wilson and Justin Fields a combined $4.4 million is the definition of good business. That's less than what they're paying their kicker, Chris Boswell, next year. So I can't argue with you economically. I do think, though, there's been a natural reflex to say something to the effect of, and I've heard this all over the place, oh, this is the Steelers' genius showing itself. Let's calm down, okay? Let's calm down. So Kenny Pickett, they drafted in the first round 2 years ago and punted on him and got almost nothing for a player who 2 years ago was worthy of a first-round pick. They ruined that guy. Now you're telling me that Russell Wilson, a cast-off now from 2 organizations in 2 years, and Justin Fields, who Ryan Poles couldn't give away, are going to somehow turn this team into something. When I just see, right now, I see the Browns having made the playoffs with 5 different starting quarterbacks, the Ravens with Lamar Jackson coming off his second MVP, and by the way, the Bengals have the best quarterback in the division when healthy in Joe Burrow. So it is not obvious to me that the Steelers have made themselves any better. They definitely, won the transactions, for lack of a better term, but if I'm just going to look at it and go down the schedule when we get it, I'm not sure the Steelers are going to win one more game than they did last year because of the quarterback play.
Are you suggesting because a team failed with a first-round quarterback, they can't succeed with someone else?
Most definitely not. What I'm saying is, for as nice a job as they did to buy low on those 2 quarterbacks, is just as bad a job as they did as selling low on Kenny Pickett. I mean,
kind of like the 49ers.
They got nothing.
Kind of like the 49ers.
When it comes to Trey Lance?
Well, they did it, by your logic, they did a horrible job by getting Trey Lance and developing him and sold really low on a guy they gave up 3 first-rounders for. They gave up for a 4th-round pick. And instead, they found someone at insanely low value. Like, some have heard of these quarterback rules that I've put out there. I know Greeny really embraces them.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, what the Steelers have the opportunity to have now is a quarterback that outperforms his contract times too. So yet another great example of this. I'm just saying, Hembo. But in this specific case, I am not saying that Brock Purdy and Russell Wilson are equal. I'm saying situationally they come in as the quote-unquote savior for a failed first-round pick.
That's a well-made point, and I can't dispute it. What I will say is that when the Steelers do something, we assume it's smart because they're the Steelers. Because we have a preconception of believing that Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing and is playing chess. I would say this. I thought the exact same thing with how the Patriots built the off-ramp for Tom Brady, and it failed miserably. To go from Cam Newton, who was average that year, to Mac Jones, who was average, then below average, then just dreadful. That's what I thought of the Patriots. Like, we can compare what the Steelers are doing right now to what the 49ers did. I think there are probably more parallels, because in the end, I'm just not so sure that Russell Wilson or Justin Fields can play. And within the context of their division, I don't think they're 1% better than they were a year ago. Not 1%.
Not 1% better.
The one thing that I will give them is that this gives them the opportunity to spend money elsewhere. Bringing in Patrick Queen is going to help the defense, and it should be a top 5 unit, at least a top 10 unit. They also really need to go get a wide receiver too, because after giving away Deontay Johnson, again, for nothing, another bad transaction, they desperately need to help their quarterbacks. The only way they can succeed offensively is if they major in the run game and add if not one, maybe even two more weapons for Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, because at this juncture in their careers, we can absolutely not assume high-level play.
Can I assume that you're a huge fan of Sixers executive Daryl Morey?
I do like Daryl Morey.
Okay.
Love Daryl Morey.
The only reason I asked that question is because you look at the removal of Deontay Johnson as they didn't get enough in return, instead of the human element that goes into this stuff in the locker room, teamwork, effort, etc. There was a lot of bad stuff around Deontay Johnson from a football perspective, the blocking, etc. Daryl Morey prides himself on not worrying about that stuff. Just like, am I getting value, and is a person going to exceed the value?
Right.
So I just wanted to confirm my hunch on that.
So
because you're just ignoring that part of it.
You're ignoring the fact that Russell Wilson is radioactive. Radioactive.
How is he? So why would TJ Watt call and recruit him? Why would Cam Hayward call and recruit him? Those are the leaders of the team. Why would Mike Tomlin, who has proven to be unbelievable in establishing a culture and either removing those that detract from it, or, I don't want to say covering up, limiting the distractions? Like, you are just completely dismissing everything Mike Tomlin right now.
No, well, I think that the national media love Mike Tomlin, and that's because Mike Tomlin has famously not had a losing season. Mike Tomlin also has not experienced any high-level winning for 7 or 8 years. He has gotten bad teams to average and has gotten good teams to average. Mike Tomlin, if he had gone 7-9 one time, wouldn't have this streak. And Mike Tomlin locally is not viewed the same way as most of the national media.
Be careful what you wish
Mike
for.
Tomlin.
Be careful what you wish for in some cases. So if I told you that Russell Wilson could be a top 20 quarterback this year, would you believe it?
I think that Russell Wilson's ceiling is that of a league average starter. So I would believe it, but I'm on the fringe.
That's even better.
I'm on the fringe.
Okay, but if you're saying, so let's call him 17. Slightly below league average, right? Is that correct, based on the math? If he's the 17th best quarterback this year, they are definitively 1% better than they were last year, because you're only asking for 1%. You didn't even, you could have gone way deeper than you did. You suggested, I don't think they're going to be 1% better. The real thing is, are they a conference championship team? You didn't go there. So if you're telling me that you have the 17th best quarterback, no money spent at that position, with someone that probably also could be the 17th best quarterback if he hits, in Justin Fields, and a top 5 defense, in what world are they not 1% better?
In the world of their division, because that's the world they're living in. You know, we do this thing in the offseason where we look at all the additions that a team might make and then forget about the fact that all 31 other teams are also trying to get better. The Bengals are getting back an all-pro quarterback, by the way. The Browns just had a better season than the Steelers, and they did so without any good quarterback play because they got a better coach, to be honest with you. And the Ravens are going to be better than the Steelers in perpetuity because of their situation. So, look, from an asset management standpoint, the Steelers nailed this. But right now, if you set the over-under at 9.5 wins for them next season, I would pound the under. I would pound that under.
Just at 9, though.
Pound it. They're going to go 8-1 or 9-8 or something like that.
Really, it would really help your argument if they went 8-1.
If they tie a game,
that's your dream scenario.
If they tie a game, it would help.
Hembo's dream scenario is for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He doesn't actually have a dog in the fight. He's an Eagles fan, but literally looks at it and says 8-1 would just be the perfect ending to the narrative that you have right now.
It sure would.
Greeny is presented by Progressive Insurance. See why over 28 million drivers trust Progressive to stay protected on the road. See for yourself at Progressive.com. Coming up, do not fill out a single bracket until you hear what Hembo has to say next. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
ESPN Tournament Challenge is here. And guess what? I'm doing my bracket right now. Making picks, predicting upsets, winning my bracket group. Anyone can bracket. Download the ESPN Tournament Challenge app to play the #1 bracket game. Presented by Allstate.
Discover, this is Daniela.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great, but with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Do you like asparagus and mushroom sorbet? I've got leftovers.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21. All the sounds you love of summer are back.
It's baseball season. Opening day in Milwaukee on 94.5 ESPN is brought to you by National Liquor Mart. Tune in all day long on April 2nd as we get you ready for the Milwaukee baseball home opener. And make sure you're stocked up on all your beverage needs for baseball season and make a stop into National Liquor Mart on 16th and National. They have the coldest beer and a huge liquor selection with great pricing. Get ready, baseball fans. Opening day in Milwaukee on 94.5 ESPN is brought to you by National Liquor Mart.
It's time for the Marquette Minute on 94.5 ESPN. Marquette fans, Buffalo Wild Wings is the official viewing party location for Marquette road games this season. The next watch party will be March 22nd at the West Allis Buffalo Wild Wings. Marquette watch parties will continue for the rest of the 2024 season.
It was a slow start for the Big East title game over the weekend as both Marquette and UConn scoring just 8 points in the first 10 minutes of the game. But once it got going, both teams started to fire away. Cam Jones trying to keep Marquette ahead.
Marquette's got 14-2. Cam Jones to the basket.
Another
Layup
foul.
is good.
Unfortunately, though, UConn would use a second-half surge and pull away, winning 73-57. The Golden Eagles will now get ready for the big dance. That happens starting on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock. 2-seed Marquette taking on 15-seed Western Kentucky at 1 o'clock.
This has been the Marquette Minute on 94.5 ESPN. Check out the Golden Eagles watch party schedule at gomarquette.com/BWW for upcoming locations.
My name is Rob, and I was seriously injured. When I think of Gruber Law Offices, I think of an honest, hard-working team who will fight to represent you. Couldn't be happier with the call that I made that day.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta here to tell you about one of the best purchases I recently made, an infrared sauna from Good Health Saunas. It's an easy-to-install sauna that is great for a post-workout, travel, or long-day detoxification, and it has a rapid heat-up time. Using Good Health Saunas can also help reduce stress, improve circulation, and make your skin glow. Got an athlete in your family or just someone with an active lifestyle? Infrared saunas are perfect for muscle and tissue recovery as well. Learn more today at goodhealthsaunas.com, goodhealthsaunas.com.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscht here, and there is one thing I think everyone can agree on. Potholes stink. And this year's weather will make it one of the worst years yet. Well, Johnson & Sons Paving is ready to take on the challenge with a team that has over 2 decades of experience. When the potholes pop up in your asphalt, Johnson & Sons Paving can patch or replace the whole area. Book an appointment now at johnsonsonspaving.com. Get that appointment booked before May 31st, and you might even see Old T on the job site for a visit. Find full contest details at ESPNWisconsinContest.com.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Homer here for Higher Love Cannabis Company. 7 convenient locations spread across the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, including Menominee, Norway, and Ironwood. Experiencing the Higher Love difference is easier than ever. Higher Love is your go-to source for organic, clean, green, certified products. Means you can trust them to provide only the good stuff, not the bad stuff. Higher Love for the Menominee location grand opening, March 23rd, an all-day cookout with freebies and more. Visit findhigherlove.com/CBD to learn more and find your nearest location.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
The official sportsbook of ESPN. ESPN Bet is the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. Sign up today, and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. Find all of your favorite markets and bets like in-game wagering, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all of the props that you can handle. That's ESPN Bet. Download today. What a play. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
The list is what determines who matters in this business.
The Green List.
All right, along with Hembo, Evan Cohen in for Greeny today. NCAA tournament brackets, men's and women's side are out. Hembo, we have a green list.
We have a green list
of the top 10 men's NCAA tournament bracket guidelines.
Here's what I've done. For ESPN.com, I put this together. I have scoured 45 years of NCAA tournament data. What I have done is provided you the blueprint to maximize your chances of success. In doing so, created 10 rules with which to abide. I'll give you my own 2 cents in terms of which teams check the boxes here. But by and large, if you follow these rules, you are going to give yourself a better chance than anyone else in your group to win the tournament.
Not trying to ruin this bit for you here on this green list, but just a quick question.
Please.
Have you ever won an NCAA tournament pool?
I've not.
Okay, good. All right, let's get the rules then. Rule number 1, advance one first 4 team to the round of 32.
Yes, the first 4 began in 2011. And with the exception of the 2019 tournament, at least one team that played in the first 4 advanced to the round of 32 or later in each year. So all but 1 year that happened. So the team I like here is Colorado. They play Boise State in the first 4. That's in the upper right of your bracket. They would get Florida in the round of 64. I think Colorado has an outstanding offensive profile and is a team that is destined to the round of 32.
Next.
Number 2.
Do not predict a 16-1 upset.
This goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. 1 seeds are 150 and 2. All times against the 16 seed, the average margin of victory for those 1 seeds is 25 points. Don't even bother thinking about it. You already know not to do this, but the numbers say don't do it.
2 things on this. Number 1, okay? We've seen this recently with Virginia and Purdue, right? I mean, like it happened recently. Number 2, I have always felt it is completely illogical and unfair for play-in teams to actually go up against the number 1 seed, because as now we've had number 16s beating the number 1, giving the number 1 seed less time to prepare for one singular opponent, as crazy as it sounds, is actually a disadvantage that they do not deserve.
I agree with you. I think it makes 0 sense. I'm fine if they want to do the first 4 thing, but I don't think that they should attach it to the 16 seeds. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, I don't think they should attach it to the 1 seed.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right, but it's important. The opposition for a 1 seed, we should not penalize you. If you're so good, we should not say, well, you have to spend part of your day, I have to look here, part of your day preparing for Howard and the other part of your day preparing for Wagner. Why would North Carolina get a disadvantage in that spot? Because that actually is a disadvantage.
I agree.
You're surprised I had such a logical take.
Preaching to the choir.
I could see. All right, next.
Number 3.
Predict. No, you're supposed to say this.
I did not say it. You said
I only made it 1/5 of the way before messing up.
You literally said, why don't we do it this way? I said, fine. And then you did not let me get to number 3.
Yes, this was my suggestion.
Correct.
What's number 3?
I'm glad you asked. Predict at least 112 upset over a 5.
Yeah, so since 1985, there have been 53 12 over 5 upsets for an average of 1.5 per year. Historically, it is more than twice as likely that there will be multiple such upsets. That's happened 16 times than none. That's only happened 6 times. My favorite 12 this year happens to be James Madison.
Oh, shush.
They play Wisconsin in the upper right of your bracket. What say you?
Well, I went to Wisconsin, so no, I'm out on that one, obviously. But I thought we had gone to the place now of 6-11 being more of the upset pick, or 11 over 6 than 12 over 5.
It vacillates over the course of time. For the purposes of this exercise, I wanted to use as many years of data as possible. 12-5 is still where you want to go.
I am strongly considering filling out my bracket in the ESPN Tournament Challenge that we're doing with ESPN Radio, which again, Chris Carlin versus Joe, is already talking junk. I didn't even say anything about Carlin, but he's doing it. I'm considering filling out my bracket one of 2 ways. Either exactly like you're saying, or just take the exact opposites. In other words, I'm going to take a 16 over a 1. I'm not going to predict any 12 over a 5, and I am not going to take anyone in the play-in to reach anything past the first round.
Evan, you're in luck because you can fill out 25 brackets.
Yeah, up
so
to
you
25.
could do all kinds of combinations, including following Hembo's guidelines and going in direct opposite of them.
You know, Cam, I said on Sportsman, like 6 to 10 Eastern this morning, that I only fill out one normally and use it with other.
I only do one.
Yeah, but you just tempted me to do another one here. I may do the anti-Hembo bracket.
You got to make an exception.
Yeah, I may have to make that exception to the rule. All right, next.
Number 4.
Thank you, Hembo. I'm glad you pointed. Eliminate at least one number 2 seed prior to the Sweet 16.
This surprised me. So number 2 seeds.
You did it. What do you mean it surprised you?
The data surprised me. Number 2 seeds advanced to the second weekend of the tournament at a considerably lower rate than 1 seeds do. All right, 63% of 2 seeds do that. 84% of 1 seeds do that. Since the seeding began in 1979, all 4 2 seeds have reached the Sweet 16 only 6 out of 44 years. The number 2 seed that I think is most vulnerable is Iowa State. They are the 2 seed in the upper left of your bracket. I think Washington State, the 7 in that region, is going to be very dangerous and will wind up knocking out the Cyclones.
All right, no problem with that. Next.
Number 5.
Advance at least one double-digit seed to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, so since 1979, a double-digit seed, a team seeded 10th or lower, has advanced to the Sweet 16 in 40 of 44 years, including each of the last 15 years. My favorite such team this year is the 11th seeded New Mexico. They're in the bottom left. They're actually favored in the first round over Clemson. Baylor I view as a fairly soft 3. I like New Mexico, the 11th seed, to advance to the Sweet 16.
And that is Richard Pitino, correct?
It sure is.
So it's a coach that has been experienced all across his time in college basketball. Minnesota, obviously, was the biggest school, I believe, that he coached at. Next.
Number 6.
Advance at least one team seeded 5 or lower to the Elite 8.
Since 1979, at least one team seeded 5th or lower has advanced to the Elite 8 in 41 of 44 years. My favorite is 6-seeded BYU in the upper left of your bracket. They are more reliant on the 3 ball than any team in the tournament. I think they are going to hit the high side of variance and advance to the Elite 8 as a 6 seed.
Can you just please refrain from directional things with brackets? When you say the upper left of your bracket, not mine when you have it on 4 pages.
4 sheets of paper.
4 sheets of handwritten paper.
Most of us have access to a printer.
All right, I'm just saying that is. I think you're very exclusive.
So you prefer I use the direction, like the East region?
Yeah, I do. I think the upper left.
On page 3 of your...
It's in the middle of my first page of my bracket. I mean, how dare you?
Fair enough.
This is Hembo's Green List. 10 men's NCAA tournament bracket guidelines to follow here. Next.
Number 7.
This one surprised me.
Cam. I'm supposed to go first.
It just made me laugh when he said that.
Do not advance a double-digit seed to the Final Four.
Yeah, this is stunning. Okay, it happens just too infrequently to take a chance. Here what the numbers say. Consider this. Since 1979, there have been 1,195 teams to play a tournament game seeded 10th or lower. Of those 1,195 teams, only 6 of them have reached the Final Four. Your odds of taking a 10 seed or lower to the Final Four are super low. Don't bother trying.
If I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, the first time this happened, I believe, was 1986 LSU as an 11 seed with John Hot Plate Williams. Am I correct on that?
I don't have it in front of me.
Well, you should have.
I'm more than happy to look that up.
I would. Thank you.
Sandwich bet?
If I'm right about that, you buy me a sandwich?
Yes.
Are you going to shame me for the sandwich I'm eating?
No, I'll allow you to choose a sandwich, and if I don't like it, I won't watch you eat it.
I will fist bump you because I'm not going to shake your hand.
I am a filthy man.
All right, look that up.
I will look that up after I finish my last 2.
Next one.
Number 8.
Last 3.
Advance no more than 2 teams from the same conference to the Final Four.
Since 1979, only once has a conference sent 3 teams to the Final Four. That was the Big East
in 1985.
Attaboy.
Villanova, Georgetown, St. John's.
Very, very well done. That's your heyday. That is your heyday.
I was 5. No, I was 4.
I think there's a reflex of falling in love with conferences based on where you live or based on what you saw. Don't overdo it. Never, ever, ever put more than 2 teams from the same conference in the Final Four.
The Green List is brought to you by Sherwin-Williams. Ask Sherwin-Williams and save 35% on paints and stains. Now through March 25th. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Next one.
Number 9.
Pick a 1 seed to win the national championship.
Yeah, don't overthink this one. Since 1979, there have been 44 national champions. 26 of the 44 national champions were 1 seed. It's 59%. Obviously, it is highly likely, or at least possible, that a team seeded 2 or lower winds up winning the national title. But what history says is that you are much better off choosing between the 4 number 1 seeds than you are going off the reservation. That's what I'm doing this year.
Next.
Number 10.
But don't pick UConn to do it?
Let me explain. UConn is not going to win the national championship this year. I might have to eat my words, but here's what the numbers say. So they won the national championship last year, and history is working against them. UCLA won 7 straight from 67 to 73, but since 1973, we've only had 2 repeat title winners.
That would be Florida and Duke.
Yes, that's exactly right. Duke in 91 and 92, and Florida in 06 and 07.
I'm putting on a show today.
You are an absolute savant. I'm going to check the LSU thing and probably have to buy you a sandwich.
Wow. Can we count this as sneaky Hembo trivia? What's happening here?
I don't think so. I mean, this is a stunning development. You just sabotaged. You just owned my own segment. Like my green list, my annual green list, you just hijacked. Well done. Very, very well done.
UConn plus 400, by the way, the favorite per ESPN bet. Can I add a couple of things here? What's the opposite of a green list? Because these are all the things you should do. I want to give you a couple of things that the committee should not do.
The red list.
Yeah, I guess that makes...
I mean, that's not a stretch. I mean, if you're just like looking to do the opposite, bro.
That was one of the dumbest things I've ever said. I said a lot of dumb things.
You were going for ingenuity. And what we got was idiocy.
Okay, so there's 2 things that work, in my opinion, against us ever having a logical bracket perfectly across the board, right? And that we're all kind of like Joe Lunardi got 67 of 68. What's the matter?
LSU is right.
11 seed in 1986?
Yeah.
And who was on their team?
You're an assassin. Who was on their team?
Yeah, because John Hot Plate, was it Hot Rod or Hot Plate?
Hot Plate.
No, there's 2 different John Williams. Seriously. One was the taller one, John Hot Rod Williams. I feel like maybe
Hot Plate is the LSU one.
Yeah, so I got it right.
Coached by Dale Brown.
Yeah, and Hot Rod Williams was
played at Tulane.
Tulane, number 18 for the Cavs on the teams with Larry Nance.
That's
Brad
very
Doherty,
confusing.
Craig Elo and Mark Price. Anyway, what are you rolling your eyes?
This is a whole new version of you. I didn't expect to just be schooled.
What did I tell you about me growing up? My 2 favorite sports growing up, my whole life, college basketball and Major League Baseball.
And you retained everything.
Yeah, clearly. Anyway, so there's 2 issues I have with the NCAA tournament that I'd like you to weigh in on at some point here, and maybe now. Number 1, we have to eliminate conference tournaments. You heard what I said. Here's why. If you're going to have the best possible teams in the NCAA tournament, we saw 5 teams get shut out of the tournament, regardless of who those 5 teams are, because the commissioner, the head of the NCAA tournament selection committee, said that we had 5 bids stolen. In addition, as part of that, we should eliminate conference tournaments for 1-bid leagues. You had a game yesterday with Yale versus Brown, where Brown at 13 and 17 in the Ivy League almost beat Yale, which would eliminate Yale from the NCAA tournament, and they were the better team. And what we end up doing is we give teams that don't deserve the opportunity a chance to be there, or a chance to be there, that opportunity to be there. It is illogical. I understand why we do it, money and TV. I get it. I'm not going to take that away. It's fun. It's exciting, etc. But all that does is we're going to take 30 games and not weigh them as much as 5 games. That does not make sense in any way, shape, or form. The second thing, we need contracts for the people or person that run the selection committee, and they should be at least 5 years. So we have the exact same criteria every single year, and when you're scheduling out who to play in the NCAA tournament, you know why, when, where, and how you're scheduling, so criteria does not change on a year-to-year basis. Because many times you will sit there and say, well, quad 1 victories aren't that good. Strength of schedule is not that good. Your road games, at a conference, in conference, et cetera, et cetera. And what we have is an illogical path to getting there, where if you just had the same person in charge for X amount of years, Hembo is in charge of the NCAA selection committee, you know that Hembo's criteria is A, B, and C, and that will not change for the next 5 years, because what happens is, if you're going to be Providence, as we've heard them complaining about the analytics here, you're now going to schedule teams that aren't as good out of conference, but that schedule will not take place until 2, 3, 4 years from now, and we'll have 3 or 4 different selection chairs by then, and that person's criteria is not going to be necessarily the same as this person's criteria.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. I think the most logical way to remedy this, and I do think it needs remedied, is to just expand the tournament.
No, it's not. That's
yes,
not
it
the,
is.
That's not.
That's
It's not the most logical way of doing this.
The most logical way is to expand the tournament. I'm sympathetic to your argument. Well, we're never going to lose conference tournaments. I do not like the fact that we wind up having these bid thieves at the end because you had a good weekend. We shouldn't be rewarding good weekends. We should be rewarding good seasons. And the best way to do that is either to change the way that you put teams into the tournament, which I think you agree with me they're not going to do because there is money to be made in the conference tournaments, or to expand it. And if you expand the tournament, then you wind up getting many more deserving teams, the St. John's, the Providences of the world. By really expanding the at-large pool, you don't lose the magic because you're still getting the small market teams, for lack of a better term, the non-major conference teams, the Cinderella types. That's where I think the money is to be made. A 128-team tournament is the right number. I think it also insulates the very best teams in the country because it nets them a bye. I've been on this for weeks. I stand by it. We don't want a tournament without Rick Pitino in it. And if the tournament had 70 teams, 72 teams, he'd be in it. There are super good teams that are capable of making a run to the Sweet 16 that won't have the opportunity because the fourth best team in the Ivy League is getting in instead.
And I would like to hear from the conference commissioners. I'm sure there's somebody listening right now for a smaller conference that's a one-bid league that will tell me that it makes money for the league, because it doesn't. I've been a part of this. Like, the thing is, I did play-by-play 100 years ago for Florida Atlantic University when they were part of the Atlantic Sun Conference. And I remember sitting there talking to people and them saying, we actually lose money if we don't win. Because what happens is they spend the money on getting there, the travel, they don't charter flights. And if you lose in the second round of the A-Sun tournament at the time, you don't have a return flight. It's extra cost. It's a one-bid league, and we're upsetting who should actually be in. It's so illogical, some of these things, that if the goal of the NCAA tournament is to have the best 68 teams and the most deserving, we don't always do that. Coming up, one team is actually hamstrung from improving their own from their own players. Like, they cannot get better because of their own players on their team. We'll explain who that is next. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
ESPN Tournament Challenge is here. And guess what? I'm doing my bracket right now. Making picks, predicting upsets, winning my bracket group. Anyone can bracket. Download the ESPN Tournament Challenge app to play the #1 bracket game. Presented by Allstate.
Hey, are you having a hard time dealing with high-interest credit card debt? It's normal, and a SoFi personal loan could help you save thousands by consolidating your DEBT to one low fixed monthly payment. You could get $5,000 to $100,000 as soon as the same day you sign, with no fees required. It only takes 60 seconds to view your rate, and it won't affect your credit score. View your rate at SoFi.com/paid-off. Loans originated by SoFi Bank N.A. Member FDIC. Terms and conditions at SoFi.com/paid-off. NMLS 696891.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-494-6139. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-494-6139.
This is the time of year to enjoy your life. Stop letting that pain in your joints keep you from doing what you want to do this spring. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking about joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. It is a fact. QC Kinetics is literally transforming lives. Their advanced treatments harness your body's own ability to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. Pro athletes have been doing this for decades, but now this life-changing treatment is available for you. So you can walk and run, climb stairs, play golf, move again, pain-free. No pain pills, no risky surgery. This is an all-natural solution. QC Kinetics has tens of thousands of satisfied patients who have reclaimed their mobility. Take action now. Live your best life this spring and summer. And it's a great use of your tax refund check. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Call 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Don't miss a moment of the basketball tournament action this March at 3rd Street Market Hall, right in downtown Milwaukee. Home to your one-stop, must-stop viewing destination, 3rd Street Market Hall has over 15 locally owned food vendors, a self-serve beer wall with 24 beers on tap, and over 50 HD TVs, plus game day specials. It's the perfect place to work remotely or catch a game between meetings or even over lunch. 3rd Street Market Hall is Milwaukee's downtown home to basketball this March.
Hey, so have you tried fried chicken from Quick Trip? Ooh, freshly cooked, hot, and ready. And I'm talking jumbo, hand-breaded chicken tenders, boneless wings dripping with all your favorite sauces. Or how about 8 pieces of fried chicken deliciousness? Perfect for your next large group meal. I mean, this is fried chicken that slays. I'm not talking about the runway. Slays appetites, fills you up. This is no ordinary chicken. It'll make any meal extraordinary. Quick Trip fried chicken, ready for your next meal. See you next time.
Don't miss the Milwaukee Bucks at Pfizer Forum on March 24th as we celebrate Women's Empowerment Night, presented by BMO. Hear how sport has empowered and influenced women and celebrate what that means to our community. Cheer for some incredible Milwaukee Bucks basketball and support women's empowerment on Sunday, March 24th. For more details and to purchase tickets, visit bucks.com/impact. That's bucks.com/impact.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey, riding with you every mile since 1977.
Check out our brand new Hyundai dealership, one of the largest in the Midwest.
Step inside of our state-of-the-art showroom where you can view our new Hyundai models and some of our finest certified pre-owned.
We've also expanded our service center, staffed by our factory-certified technicians.
And right next door, we've started construction on our all-new Genesis of Waukesha dealership.
But we're not just building walls, we're building careers.
So if you're looking for a career with great benefits and opportunity for growth, Boucher is the place for you.
At Boucher, we ride with you every mile.
The Saganiac Planning Fantastic Finish, November 27th, 2006. Marquette at Valparaiso. It was tied with 13 seconds left when Tom Crean called timeout. He called 2 plays, both to get the ball to Dominic James, because Dominic James had scored the last 15 points for Marquette. James got a high screen, and with 3 seconds left, buried a 3-point shot at the top of the key to finish with the last 18 points for Marquette and a 65-62 win. Oh, baby, what a fantastic finish. Help protect your team with slam dunk coverage. Saganiac Planning can coach you on ways to save money on medical and specialty plans through United Healthcare, which is one of the largest provider networks in Wisconsin. Call John Saganiac Jr. 262-783-6161. That's John Jr. 262-783-6161. Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service. Insurance coverage provided by or through United Healthcare Insurance Company or its affiliates. Administrative services provided by United Healthcare Services Inc. or its affiliates. Health plan coverage provided by or through United Healthcare of Wisconsin, Inc.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscht here for my friends at Kohler Services. If you need a bath or shower remodel, turn to Kohler Services. Family owned for 150 years. Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. This month only, get $1,000 off your Luxstone shower and pay nothing until 2025. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast, professional installation always included. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
Dak entering the final year of his deal, leading to some questions about his future with the team.
You are closer today to believing that a Dak Prescott trade is possible.
And with each passing day, I move closer to him being moved because it just doesn't make any sense not to extend him by now.
As long as I got my suit and tie, I'ma leave it all.
Greeny is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits. And one of the country's top workplaces, come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. Along with Hembo, Evan Cohen in for Greeny today, the day after the NCAA tournament. Brackets are released on the men's and women's side. Download the ESPN Tournament Challenge app. Be a part of it. You can do it up to 25 times. You can do one bracket with Hembo's green list rules, as well as one bracket without
the red list. Go ahead. Do what you got to do.
I have nothing to say.
Well, you just said something without saying something.
Because nothing can be said.
Yeah, I asked what the opposite of like green light was.
I mean, I spent an enormous amount of time combing through the data. How much time did you spend for your ill-fated quarterback rules? Was that a years long exercise?
You know, we're gonna get to a quarterback, but on Friday I was driving home after Unsportsmanlike, and as I do, I was listening to Greeny here on ESPN Radio, and I heard one Mike Greenberg actually reference the quarterback rules to Dan Graziano to help his cause. So what say you on that one, Hembo?
Which of the rules was it?
The QB wide receiver. You don't pay wide receivers to help a QB. You pay a QB to help a wide receiver.
I think in the end, Greeny wound up making fun of you merely because he was kind of jealous that he hadn't thought of them himself.
Oh, really?
It was one of those moves. Like he's a person.
I never got that feeling. I gotta be honest with you.
Look, Greeny wields enormous power and influence, and he thought to himself, well, I didn't think of it. Might as well make fun of it. Because everything was very logical.
It's not well written.
He just thought it was poorly written, and some of them didn't really need to be said.
Okay. Well, I'll take that as a win.
As a compliment?
I don't know. All right, so we did have some news today around the Cowboys quarterback situation and the contract of Dak Prescott. Not exactly the news that we anticipated, the way in which it's coming out in terms of the numbers on this. Field Yates, give him credit, great guy, put out there this 2 hours ago that the Cowboys converted a $5 million roster bonus due to Dak Prescott on Sunday into a signing bonus, creating $4 million in salary cap space in 2024. The move reduces Prescott's salary cap number to $55.455. So let's just, for argument's sake, we're going to say it reduced it from 60 to 55, just for the sake of easy numbers for the show. While 2 extra void years were added to the deal for cap purposes, void years now through 2028. This does not prevent the team and Prescott from further negotiating a long-term extension, but provides Dallas with immediate salary cap relief. What is very interesting about this is that they only opened up $4 million. That's 1 to 2 players, if that.
It's a kicker.
If that. In addition, they added money to void years, which basically means if he's not on the team past this year, they increase the dead cap hit, meaning the money he has counted against Dak Prescott playing for the Saints. But, I mean, that's kind of what they did. Now, obviously, the contract extension potentially can kind of go and negate some of this stuff, I believe. This is a terrible move if he's not there long term. I'm sorry, it is. Because I don't know that you're going to get a significant enough player with this extra cap room that you have, that this is a start. But if this is the finish, you have to anticipate him leaving after this season.
I think that Dak Prescott is very likely to stay as Cowboys quarterback for as long as they'll have him, because that's a job that historically nobody has ever given up. That being said, this situation here shows the immense value of not having an adversarial business relationship between team and quarterback. Look at the Eagles, for example, the team with which they compete most closely in the division. I'm looking at their salary cap list right now for next year, and they're going to pay their top 4 players on offense: Lane Johnson, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Jordan Mailata. So their right and left tackle, their starting quarterback, and their number 1 wide receiver. They're paying those 4 guys $52 million. Again, the Cowboys are paying Dak Prescott $55 million to play quarterback for them. So as we've talked about the Cowboys' reluctance to spend in free agency, that has not been a strategy. That has been by necessity. And it has been by necessity because Dak Prescott and the Cowboys have mangled this situation for years, and now they're paying the piper.
You know, you say that is not a position you give up, quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, right?
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm. How many teams combined did George Mike and Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar play for after the Lakers?
None after the Lakers, right?
None. The center for the Lakers, a position you don't give up until someone decides to give it up, which would be Shaquille O'Neal, right? That he played for multiple teams, Miami, Phoenix, Boston, Cleveland, after that. My point in bringing up that reference is Dak Prescott is set up to be the first of his kind in this case to voluntarily want to walk away. If they don't give him a contract extension, I don't know that being the quarterback for the Cowboys is as attractive as you think it is versus getting more money, more years, and less attention for a team that could be as good or better. There is going to be, whoever the Atlanta Falcons were this year, next year, there's going to be a team that you're going to say, you know what, if you're Dak Prescott, I may want to walk into that situation and play with those two guys at wide receiver and this offensive line. I may want to play in this division, which is a little bit less than the division I just recently played in. Or I want to play for that head coach. And now he happens to like Mike McCarthy. The point that I'm making is it's 2024. You could sit here and say, players don't leave the quarterback of the Cowboys, just like players didn't leave the center for the Lakers until they did. And I am not convinced that being the quarterback for this version of the Dallas Cowboys, with that ownership, the way in which the attention goes towards Dak Prescott, is as attractive as you're making it out to be.
You're making lots of football sense, but not much common sense. And I'll tell you why.
What an insulting thing to say. If it wasn't you, I'd want to literally go up and slap you. I wouldn't actually do that, but because it's you and I like you so much, that is so demeaning what you said. But please continue.
Here's what I mean.
Yeah.
About your smart football take, stupid common sense take.
Right.
Being the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys sets you up for life, and you know that just as well as I do.
As if he's not already.
Look at what Troy Aikman has become after his football career. Look at what Tony Romo is becoming. Look at what Roger Staubach became. These are people that have benefited enormously from being a legacy player for the Dallas Cowboys. It is not a job that anyone has ever given up. I don't believe that Dak Prescott needs to stay in Dallas to remain rich, to remain popular, to remain successful at quarterback. I do, however, believe that Dak Prescott is going to stay in Dallas if he possibly can because of all the other reasons.
What an outdated take, because I think within a year, the most highly paid media member that's an ex-athlete in football, non-Rock or Strahan related, will be a former center for the Philadelphia Eagles. So you could sit there. Tony Romo will not make as much money all in 2025 as Jason Kelce will. It's Greeny, presented by Progressive Insurance on ESPN Radio.
At Progressive, we know money can't buy happiness. But money did buy your boat, where you find peace fishing, unlike at home with 3 teenage daughters. Because fish never argue about who stole whose crop top, or get mad the other fish used up all the hot water. No, they just swim around, never embarrassed to be seen with you in public. So save money by bundling your boat or RV insurance with home or auto from Progressive. And buy more happiness, or something close to it. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers, not available in all states.
Find what you love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Football guy.
Good morning, Tausch. How are you?
Football guy.
Old T's a little, I'm not feeling 100%.
Coming at it from different views.
No, just I think with all that little stuff that's going around and the long trip back from the loo, I'm going to grind.
Wilde and Tauscht, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Also sponsored by Coors Light. Weekdays 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN. And available wherever you get your podcasts with Wisconsin On Demand.
0% interest for up to 3 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Pella's free in-home consultations make replacing or redesigning your windows and doors easy. We go beyond just measuring and handing you a quote. We take the time to listen and educate you on all your product options. And with DesignWorks, you can see what your home will look like before you buy. Whether you're looking to replace your windows due to damage or it's time for a refresh and you'd like to revitalize your home style, choosing from Pella's wide range of windows and doors will complement your home's unique design. Pella can also customize, providing nearly endless possibilities for maximum design flexibility with dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Order by March 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Set your free consultation at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA, best-selling author and founder of the Neal Group. I have some questions for you. Who does your books? Hopefully not you. There are better things for you to do in running your business. Do you trust the numbers? Good numbers are critical for making good decisions. Are you getting the advice you need to minimize your taxes and put more money in your pocket? A good advisor makes suggestions to help your business grow and minimize taxes, not just put numbers on a form. Do your calls get returned and your questions answered? Many of our new clients tell us they love our quick response time. We have helped countless businesses increase their profits and lower stress. Get the advice you want and need to grow your business and minimize taxes. If you want to get started on the road to making more money and having less stress, visit neilgroup.net right now. That's NEAL group.net. The first meeting is free to see if we can help. Again, neilgroup.net.
Come see Thanalysis live from Potawatomi Casino Hotel on Friday, March 22nd.
Hey, welcome to another Thanalysis show. And we are coming on today's podcast.
Be there for the first ever live show for Thanasis as he's joined by his brother, none other than the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I took off my shoes and I was like, go crazy, go hoop. That's all it was.
Get your tickets now at GALiveshow.com. Thanalysis live at Potawatomi Casino Hotel on March 22nd. GALiveshow.com. The pulse of the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a Bucks legend.
Can't get it off. Marcus Johnson will, though. Can't leave him alone for a 12.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson on Bucks Plus. Marcus and his son Chris offer a weekly beat on Bucks basketball. Get your questions answered and hear from the biggest names in basketball. Find Here District with Marcus Johnson at bucks.com/plus on the Bucks app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank, and as a community bank, we sincerely appreciate our customer loyalty. Over nearly 90 years, we've done all we can to return the favor. Great Midwest Bank offers flexible solutions that bigger banks and credit unions simply can't, because our entire team is right here in the community. We love helping our neighbors when we're at work and then catching up over the weekend. Visit us at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
Tune in to KBN every day at 2 o'clock. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD, Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Dodgers megastar Shohei Ohtani will soon start a throwing program that may allow him to play in the field this season. Manager Dave Roberts told reporters today they'll see how the progression with the throwing program goes. If his arm's healthy enough, they'll have the conversation about him possibly playing in the field. Primarily this season, Ohtani will be the DH. He has been ruled out as a pitcher following a second surgery on his right elbow. LA and San Diego open up the Major League Baseball season in Seoul Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern, ESPN. NBA Lakers listing LeBron James and Anthony Davis as questionable tonight against the Hawks. AD's got a corneal abrasion. LeBron, ongoing ankle soreness. Tonight's NBA doubleheader, Heat and 76ers, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN. Then Knicks Warriors. New York's 4th in the East, Miami 7th, Philly's 8th. Golden State is 9th in the West, and the Lakers are 10th.
From the ESPN studios at Pier 17 in the Seaport District of New York City, this is Greeny with Mike Greenberg on ESPN Radio. You can also listen and watch the show on the ESPN app.
Yes! So crazy. It is Greeny here on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance, along with Hembo. Evan Cohen in for Greeny today. Get your brackets in the Tournament Challenge. Free and easy. Download the ESPN Tournament Challenge app. You can fill out up to 25 on the men's and women's side each. Create groups, compete against friends, family, or us here at ESPN Radio as well. The app makes it easy to share your champion and Final Four picks across your social channels. All right, Hembo, joining us now. She is phenomenal on all things basketball, from the draft last year to men's college basketball, women's college basketball. Andrea Carter, she's a former guard at Tennessee. And I've already been shamed. This is remarkable what's happened here. I have been told that because Hembo was on Good Morning America and you were on Good Morning America, that I'm now the only one on the show not on Good Morning America. Instead, I have the morning show on ESPN Radio with Chris Canty and Michelle Smallman. So, Andrea, welcome, and why am I being shamed already?
Thank you for having me. I'm going to shame you again. Hembo and I have already been in cahoots, texting stats back and forth. He's already helped me out a little bit this morning for some of my different takes on these other shows. So, Hembo, Hembo's my guy. I'm not even gonna lie. You're a little bit sly on the
I got you,
scale.
Evan. Feel free to chime in here and there, but this is where we are. This is where we are.
Do you know that? Okay, really, we're gonna get behind the scenes now. My first week, I think, at ESPN, I saw Andrea here at the Seaport, and I'm like, I can't tell you how much of a fan I am of yours. And she's like, is something wrong with you? Like, can you leave me alone?
No.
She was so
She sent you home with a signed basketball.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, nice job, kid. All right, let's talk about the women's side first. Is there a player or a team, both tournaments, that has more pressure on them than Caitlin Clark in Iowa?
Oh, no. No, because Caitlin Clark has so many eyes on her. I will be in an airport, and people that know, they couldn't tell me 2 other things about the game of basketball want to ask me about Caitlin Clark. Everyone in the country, I would even go saying internationally, everyone wants to see. For Caitlin Clark fans, they want to see if she can create magic. They want to see if she can get it done. Even for people who, let's say they aren't a fan of Caitlin Clark, they're going to be tuned in to see if their team can defeat Caitlin Clark. The eyes on this superstar are going to be unbelievable. And the pressure that she has, it's not just because the eyes are on her. She has risen to every occasion, and she has blasted through, just obliterated anything in her way when it comes to breaking records, when it comes to getting wins. She has not only done it, but she's done it in huge fashion. The bracket is extremely tough for Caitlin Clark and Iowa, and her margin for error is so thin. So there is pressure to the left, there's pressure to the right, there's pressure in front, there's pressure behind, and I don't think anyone can truly compare. She has handled it with grace, she's handled it well, but the pressure is ultimate right now.
What's enough for Iowa and Caitlin Clark? Excuse me. Is it Final Four? Is it title? What's enough for them this year?
Well, for Iowa, they of course want to win a national championship. To me, I was asked earlier if it was realistic, and I said it's not realistic because it would be magical, and magical's the opposite of realistic. It would be a magical run. For me, Iowa, like when I literally sit here and look at this bracket, I'm like, Iowa, there are games early on that I'm worried about. I mean, if they have to face Kansas State, they split with Kansas State in the regular season. Like, there are opportunities. I don't know why the committee gave Iowa this tough of a road. Maybe they wanted to see if they got an even bigger chip on their shoulder. But realistically, like, Elite Eight would be great. Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four would be amazing. Winning a national championship would absolutely blow my mind. But realistic expectations when I look at this region, I'm like, Elite 8. That's what I see.
It is Greeny here on ESPN Radio, coming to you live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17, along with Hembo, Evan Cohen in for Greeny, joined by Andrea Carter, ESPN college basketball analyst. I want to go back to something you said, because I'm thinking about all the storylines of the women's tournament. There are more than there are in the men's tournament. If we're going to be real, there are much bigger stars on the women's side right now than the men's side. You just said something about the draw that they have, and I play out in my head. Theoretically, should they have done something to ensure the growth of the sport by keeping Caitlin Clark around as long as possible? It is completely illogical and immoral. They shouldn't actually legally be allowed to do that. But that said, this is a sport that is so hot right now. Why are we taking chances to kind of cool it down?
Yeah, it's tough. I was thinking that too. Like, when I looked at this bracket, I was like, why? Why would you put Iowa and LSU in the same region? Why would you give us or take away an opportunity for us to see those teams further down the road, because they're going to knock each other out early? One of them might knock the other out. Obviously, they both have to get there. But I was frustrated with the committee because I was like, clearly they don't take those things into consideration. I was confused also because with Iowa being the second #1 seed, you start to think that their path would be a little bit easier. That's how it works. The overall #1 seed and the way that the bracket goes, I was just confused by some of these matchups. There were times where, and I don't know all the nitty gritty when it comes to putting the bracket together. I'm actually going to get with Joe Lunardi and Charlie Cream to figure that kind of stuff out this summer so I can speak on this a little more in depth. But for me, I was like, could LSU and NC State have just swapped? They're the 3 seeds. Could they have just swapped there? But I don't know. I don't know the details. It does give us an opportunity to see a superstar player, potentially like Madison Booker at Texas, lead her Longhorns and put another superstar who's a freshman on the map. But when I think about Iowa and LSU potentially taking each other out early and missing an opportunity to see the superstars that most people are familiar with, I'm like, opportunity missed. But I'm also not mad at an opportunity for other superstars to step to the plate. Let me tell you about Madison Booker while we're here. She is a point forward. Texas lost their starting point guard, Rory Harmon, who was an absolute monster, can get a bucket at any time. Rory Harmon goes down at the beginning of the season, and Texas leans on a freshman. We've talked about the freshmen left and right all season long. Juju Watkins, Hannah Hidalgo, Mylasia Full-Wiley. Madison Booker is in that category. Her mid-range game is next level. She can go get a bucket. She's tough. She plays with an edge. She's strong. So when I do see this, I'm like, all right, maybe America gets to learn who Madison Booker is. And I'm not mad about that.
All right, rank these storylines for me. I'm going to give you 3 storylines. You tell me from most to least interesting, with the understanding that they're all obviously really interesting. The hypothetical of these 3 teams/players winning it all. Juju Watkins with USC, Angel Reese at LSU, and South Carolina capping it off with an undefeated season. Which is the most, second most, and third most interesting of those 3?
Oh, wow. This is
not too much to take in there. 7 questions in one. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's terrible. Honestly, I think for me, the most interesting, and it might be other people's least interesting, but if South Carolina goes on to win the national championship after losing the winningest class in program history and losing their starters and having so many pieces where not one player is going to just put the entire team on their back, it could be anybody's day for South Carolina. Mylasia Full-Wiley comes off the bench and won the SEC tournament MVP. She just signed a deal with the Curry brand. She comes off the bench. Tahina Paopao, she's a transfer. She came in to run the team at the point guard position. Raven Johnson is on a revenge tour from getting waved off by Caitlin Clark last season. They had a heartbreaking loss last year to Caitlin Clark. So for me, the most interesting story is South Carolina. We don't talk about it a lot because they've won so many games, and it's now just become the expectation this season for them to win. But the way they've been able to put these pieces together under the excellent leadership of Dawn Staley is fascinating to me. LSU, and then was it USC? USC would be second most interesting to me because Juju Watkins leading that team as a freshman, the way that her teammates stepped up in the Pac-12 championship when she was struggling from the field. Mackenzie Forbes goes off for 26. If she helps lead this team to a national championship, it would be unheard of. She's already put up more points than Caitlin Clark did in her freshman year. If you're just comparing freshman year to freshman year, she's already got that down. If she wins it, that would mean Caitlin Clark doesn't get it because USC gets it. So she's already notching things